Hi, earlier today I went off to the cinema and finally got round to seeing Denis Villeneuve's Dune. It's an adaptation of the first half of Frank Herbert's epic science fiction novel, the best selling science fiction novel of all time. Set 8,000 years in the future, it's about the planet Arrakis, a desert world which is the only place in the universe where you can find the spice, a substance that allows the travel through space without moving, given that well, there's all kinds of backstory that's actually not explained in this version of the movie, but it allows people to travel through space. The planet is controlled by the evil House Harkonnen, but under the orders of the Galactic Emperor has been handed over to the more sympathetic House Atreides, but this is part of a wider plot that will change the balance of power in the universe. And the story centres on young Paul Atreides, the heir to the House of Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet, who it is prophesied will be some sort of messiah to lead the Fremen, the native peoples in the deserts of Arrakis, the planet known as Dune, to freedom and to power. And there's also all sorts of other stuff. It's been filmed before, and long-term cinema limbo people will know that I've covered the 1984 David Lynch directed version of Dune in a previous podcast. I don't recall exactly what I said, but I could definitely imagine saying that it's very opulent and bright and colourful. Problem with Villeneuve's version, firstly, is that it only covers the first half of the book, and it's also even then longer than Lynch's version, which tries to condense the entire story of the novel into a single 2.25 hour film. It's very dour, it's very bland looking, and it struggles to cover a lot of the intellectual material that's present in the original book. Ideas about politics, religion, ecology, um, all kinds of other things as well, and everything else. Um, it's a very rich, complex book that draws a great deal from real world situations, uh, conflict in the Middle East, the struggle for oil, oil being analogous to the spice, of course. But there's little of that in the film. Instead, we focus on the vast gallery of characters with whom we're presented. But even then, they still seem oddly flat. Chalamet, even though he appears on superficially to be an excellent choice to play young Paul, struggles with the character, and in his visions that he will become a messiah who will lead a jihad that spans the universe, the visions seem to just be confined to a single small area of desert, and he seems to be wildly overacting while having these visions. We also have Rebecca Ferguson as his mother, who's part of the Bene Gesserit cult that has been genetically guiding humanity towards creating this messiah character. Oscar Isaac as his father, Duke Leto Atreides, Stellan Skarsgård as Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, the ostensible villain. Various characters playing the Fremen, various courtiers. We have dozens and dozens of characters, but there's so little depth given to most of them. The film is, largely speaking, a faithful adaptation of the plot of the book, but I found myself feeling bored, particularly towards the end of the film, which it really peters out. There is a natural break in the structure of the novel, and the what, as it turns out, two-part version of the adaptation will respect that. But it really does. This half does end with an absolute whimper. There is a huge battle sequence about an hour from the end of the movie, and the fallout from that should be the coast towards the end credits, I feel. And there's just too much extra material added in, and I did find myself repeatedly looking at my watch. As a result, I found the film to be quite passionless, quite lacking in personality. I mean, a David Lynch film is never going to be lacking for personality. It was opulent and designed, and there was so much life and energy in that version of the story. Here, everything is the same color. There's a very muted color palette. Everything is sort of greys and browns, even on the Atreides' home planet of Caladan, which appears to look like Wales, um, ostensibly green and verdant with overcast skies. It's still very muted and unpleasant looking. Um, it's said in the book that the planet Arrakis was created by God to train the faithful. And this is a film that feels definitely aimed only at the most faithful, at those fans who want a serious, dour, po-faced, extremely accurate and extremely protracted adaptation of the book. I'm surprised that it's doing well at the box office because, once again, Denis Villeneuve has taken a popular science fiction property and leached all the interest out of it. After this and Blade Runner 2049, I can't imagine really wanting to see Dune Part 2. I've seen it before, directed by David Lynch, and I think I liked it a lot more than I ever would in any other form.